The following madregas, we have to get clear, again, the geography. Dahainu. Covered equals, these the following things match up. Covered equals Torah. Yekora hi mipninim. Torah is more precious than pearls. Says, or the taich of the word covered in Lashon Arami is Yokar. So Torah is more precious than Pninim. Now that itself has the following madregas. Pninim, remember, they were just reviewing what we learned yesterday. The two madregas are Binan and Chochma as accessed milamata milamayla. So more precious than the Kohen Gadol who enters into Kodesh HaKadoshim. It's taka Pnimis HaChochma. True, but it's Pnimis HaChochma milamata lamayla. He's entered there. And Torah is greater still. These are the three dargas. Now, therefore, that explains why the union of kavod is associated with avicha, which precedes, with chachma, which precedes bina, which is ima, mother. When it comes to yira, because yira is malamata lamayla, relative to chachma and bina, chachma is, it's all relative. Chachma is malamayla lamata and bina is malamata lamayla, relative to each other. But then we just pointed out that in chachma itself, there's the Kohen Gadol who enters lifnaya lifnim. He also accessing chachma. That's mitzad the matas asiyah. Not to be confused there. There's words they contradict each other otherwise. If we don't get this clear. So much so that the Kohen Gadol progresses to bittul b'mitzias mamish, but still all milamata lamayla. And that's the yira ilah shebechachma. The lower yira is bina. That's a yira that's engendered through understanding, etc. Then there's the yira bittul b'mitzias. That's a yira ilah shebechachma. That's synonymous with the darga lifnai v'lifnim. That's synonymous with the level of kavod, the highest level of not kavod, the highest level of av, the highest level of chachma. Torah yet is higher than that, because that's milamayla l'mata. Then he pointed out the same thing is true in Teresh B'Ksav and Teresh B'Alpeh. The same distinction holds true, namely that Teresh B'Alpeh starts off Teresh B'Alpeh is mitzad the yira of the melech, and the person learns in such a way that he's very aware that his mitzias could very easily corrupt the halacha, and therefore it should be in accordance with the way the halacha is. Therefore there has to be the union of yira. But Teresh B'Ksav is not Teresh Imecha, but it's Musar Avicha. That's the Amshachim L'mayla L'mata. So overall, in generally speaking, there are these two levels. In general, Abba ve'ima, finished. Chachma, that's in Torah at least. In Torah there's two levels, but if we include the Kohen Gadol's Avodah, that has the three levels, because he also reaches a level of Chachma through his Avodah. But in general, in Torah itself now, he's saying that these two levels, Lamata Lamayla and Lamayla Lamata. Now a third level. In this model now of two levels of Torah. Omnam yesh yira nailis yoyse game yira pnimis the beginnas chachma now.
Is Gimel.
Yeah, is Gimel. Then there's even a higher level than the yira pnimius of chachma hanal, which he says is the last thing he said in the ois. Chachma shmemena nimshachim lama beis nezibes melamayla lamata, which is called kavod. Again, all the confusion is because there's a darga which is yikorahim b'pnimim, is even higher than that. I'm sorry, no, that is the level he's describing here. This Torah shebeksav is the level it's yikarahim mipninim. Yeah. The Yira Pnimius, that is the Kohen Gadol. The Yira Chitzonius, that is Ima. The Yira Pnimius is the Kohen Gadol. And Yikarahim Mipninim, that is Torah. Are we clear on this, or we're all confused? More or less. Okay, we'll have to make, I think, Be'ez Hashem, a paper to map it out. Okay, so now there's even a higher level than the Yira Pnimius, the Bechinas HaChachma. So this is going back, it seems, not to the last statement of the previous paragraph, but the middle statement, because we talked about first the Yira Chitzonius and then the Yira Pnimius. Now it's that he's addressing, not the Masha Enkein. Not the Masha Enkein of Torah Shebeksav, which is all the Makar HaChachma Melamayla Lamata. Back to this Avodah, the Avodah level. We're talking now Avodah, now we're saying that there is a third level in the Avodah, the Yira Chitzonius, Yira Pnimius, third level in Avodah. I don't think I started off saying it quite this way, but this is clear now. So this is a Yira that's connected with Kesser, higher than Chachma altogether. In a word, we'll just say it right now, but so we're not lost, Tshuva. Tshuva is even higher than the Yira Pnimius. And that's going to translate back to the Chasidim, Anshei Maaseh, and then the Bali Tshuva added by the Braise. That's how all this is going. So what is it about? Let's understand Kesser. Shazeh Omru Kesser Elyon. So about Kesser, the Zohar says, the supernal Kesser, Afal Gav Dio h'tשכ, even though it's a pure light, Ukam Hu Kodam Ilas HaIlos. It is dark before the cause of all causes. Now this darkness is a virtue, not a chsaron. He means it here as a mila, complete nullification. And what's this in Avodah? This Avodah of Tshuva. Tshuva is the fear of the awe, boishes, which means shame. And that's higher than the higher year of the Pnimius, he said before, as opposed to Bina. The Pnimius, which is associated with Chachma, Sheina Nikras Ela Bereshis. That's called Bereshis, the beginning, and the Targum says, B'chuchmasa. But what we're speaking about here is a higher level. It's the same Moishe, but it's the opposite of Bereshis, where you have Yore Boishes. Yeah, in Bereshis you have that the basis in the beginning. And here it comes at the end. So this is a higher, it's also a beginning, but a whole different beginning than Chachma. Bereshis is opposite Oasis of Yira Boishes. So what is it? What is this darge? Vinyan Hodechsiv Noides Hilois. The pasuk says in the Shira, awesome of praises. And it's going to analyze what this means, and it requires a bit of understanding of basic grammar. Pirush Noida, this is when you have a nun in front of a word, so it means kasher nispoil b'yira, the subject matter has been affected by that which the subject matter, in this case fear. K'maytevis nishba, there's a person who is sworn. So there's two things. There's the oath and there's the person. When you say nishba, it means he's become one with the oath. Shashavua, the subject matter is the shavua. Someone who thoroughly commits himself, binds himself to the oath, he becomes the nishba. In a sense, inseparable from the oath. that's called nishba. But who's the nishba? He's the nishba. But he's a nishba for something which he's completely committed to. Nun indicates the consequence of the source of the subject matter we speak of. So likewise here, noira sehilo is awesome in praises. V'zeh noira. The darga we speak of is completely state of bittul to that which it is in awe of. Kashen is spoiled by yira atzmis. The spilus here, the awe here is not stam yira. He's a yira shemayim. He's noira. Yira shemayim would indicate a separation of the person and the Eibishter whom he's in awe of. Here the yira is so great that he is called the darga. This is the darga of Keser, is called noira sehilos. He becomes dark before the cause of all cause. Dark means complete loss of independence. So that is called nikra yira boishes. That's the fear of shame, and that's the highest level of bittul b'mitzias. But when is he called noira? So you just say, when he is mischashech, dark before the cause of all causes, that's yiras boishes. When does he become called completely bottled noira, b'chinas nifal, and rakash, he comes the paradox, kasha yisrachek mikame, only when this darga then becomes distance. As Keser becomes the source of netzolim, then it's called noira. Az yikra noira, kamelosh nishba. Tahaino, let's read further. Shenislabish beyira, he's completely invested, suffused with yira. Now, here's the diuk here, the point. Noira luzu losai. So the one who looks at him, Haroya Oise sees something that is moededik, that is noira. So what he's saying here is that noira is all the way someone else perceives him. So that is not the way the kesed is, that it's pnimius, as it were, described as being dark, but its kesed then descends to become the source of netzolim, and Atzilus looks at kesed, what does it see? Noira. And Metzius, its source, that is completely one with Elikus. That seems to be the pshat. Let's see the moshel, if we're right. Talmud. Understand this by a moshel merav and Talmud. Shekechol shetisgadol by losa shel Talmud b'chachma v'dakas haseichel b'yoser. The more the Talmud is elevated in his chachma and his subtlety and the refinedness of his seichel, yuchal haseg yoser amitis iluv shel harav. The more he appreciates, the more he advances, the more he appreciates the true virtue of the teacher. Is bayish ma'od, this sense of embarrassment. Poshke pshuti, one open his mouth to say a word. And this busha only happens because of his appreciation. So he gets more and more silent, literally, as he appreciates more and more the Rav's intellect, and that's only because he is advancing. But a lower Talmud, who is lower than this one in terms of the refinedness of his intellect, so he's not so nullified. Now you'd think it would be the opposite. He's more on par. He's more comparable to the Rav. He should be less bittul, less not shamed. But the smallest disciple who has less in common with the Rav and more distant. I won't think therefore the lower Talmud should be more nullified. Compared to the Talmud, the superior Talmud that's close. But it's not that way. Why not? The advanced Talmud Because he's closer, in Akira Gufa, on the contrary, being close is what makes him understand to a greater degree how removed the Rav is. What's the mashal they give of a truly great person as opposed to a celebrity? So the celebrity from the distance is awesome. Begashmis, and you get closer, it gets smaller and smaller. But a truly great person, like a mountain, from the distance it's small. The closer you get, the closer, the greater. Will be a opposite mashal of a mountain from a distance. Something that close up is big, is far is big. And when you get close, it gets small. What's a mashal? Begashmis. You get to know them more and more and more. The closer you get, till you finally lose all respect completely when you get really close up. Whatever, but you get the point. And here's the opposite. The closer he gets, the more the bittul. Now, therefore, what's the nimshal? But the Maaseh by nimshal itself, we got this right. Ha'chiluk v'ha'yira v'ha'bittul ben chachma lekeser. Okay? The difference between the bittul of chachma and keser. Sha'bittul the keser, u'lemayl ma'bittul the chachma. The bittul of keser is greater than chachma. Kiyavshe, gamma bittul the chachma, bittul b'mitziyah. So we said before, chachma is absolutely nullified, totally objective, completely nullified to the truth of the Eibishter. But still, ari sof sof, ha'chachma yireshes ishtalshalus. It's the beginning of the whole system of ishtalshalus. V'lein l'chein haru berichuk yosek better keser, because it's part of creation. The beginning of it is much further from him than keser. V'davka the keser shulamayim ishtalshalus harihu bekirav yosek kamei yizbarach. So only keser is close, v'lachem yischashichu kamei ilas ha'ilus, and therefore it's dark. Didn't explain the nerda yet. We'll revisit this in a minute. That's the dark component. But tachlis habitul v'yiras haboishes. That's the dark of yiras haboishes, being close and so embarrassed not to even dare open your mouth. You wouldn't think of it. Okay, so, but nerda, he said, so therefore chachma is called nerda sehilos. Chachma is called nerda because nerda means already a metzias. That's what it comes out here. If I'm wrong, tell me. It's a metzias that is being viewed by others. No one is viewing keser. It's not part of his Shalus. So chachma is the madeg of nerda sehilos, but keser is even higher. Mischashichu kamei, dark, not even nerda, complete bittul yiras boishes. That's what he's saying, and that is going to. That's end of the mind of the Alter Rebbe, and that is going to say is tshuva. Tshuva brings a yid to a state of yiras haboishes, a bittul of keser, cheshechu legabei, even higher than chachma, which is consistent because we're speaking here Torah at its highest levels, and kiyadua tshuva is even higher than Torah. So tshuva is even higher than Av. There's the Chasidim, there's the Anji Maisis, it goes on to say, and then there's the Bali Tshuva that the Brisa talks about, and that's what he's talking about. So let's launch into the Rebbe's beer, because this is a language that we can understand better. So I said, Ad kan teichen ha-maimer, so far as the content of the maimer. So from summary of all of the above, the Rebbe thankfully does this for us. So there's three things. B'chlolus. Ha'inyan ha'alev is amshacham l'mayla l'mata al yedei ha'toresh nikras yikora. There's the amshacha from above to below that's granted every year. That's called Torah, that's called yikora. And that's more precious than pninim. Vinyan abei, which is the Kohen Gadol going into lifnai lifnim. Inyan abei is aveda halom l'mata l'mayla. Then there's the second aveda from below to above, and that itself has two dargas, but in general it's one level, because it's one movement. It's from below to above. Other dargas Kohen Gadol, to the extent the height of this aveda so far, from below to above, is the Kohen Gadol shnichnas lifnai lifnim. Yeah, so we're correct. Both the levels of chachma of bittul, Where that's coming from below is a gift to us. That's the high. That's Kodesh HaKadoshim. As Torah descends. I'm sorry, that's Torah, not Kodesh. That is Torah as it descends. The Kohen Gadol is also Chachma and Bittul. The difference is that Torah is Melamayla Lamata, even as it comes down all the way down, it still carries the Eir Ein Sof. Oy B'derech Halo Lamata, all from below to above, and this has the two levels. Me'yireh Chitzonius al Yireh Pnimius. From the external Bittul, that's the Torah Shebal Peh, to the Yireh Pnimius, Shebchinas Chachma, which is Chachma. So that itself has two levels in Melamata Lamaila. And those two levels are Kabbalah Savicha and Kavod associated with father and Yira associated with mother, as he explained. Hatarish Bapes Dafka with Yira, but then it ascends to the deeper Bittul. And the deeper Bittul is Teresh B'Ksav. Vinyan HaGimel, then there's a third thing. The third thing introduced right now, it's four, right in detail, but three b'chlolos, we're clear? Gimel, b'chines ha'keser. She'ukum u'kodam b'ilas ha'ilos, and that is the highest darga, even higher than Noira. Noira, he says, is Chachma. Noira, Sehilos, is already a source of creation. Creation is praising this darga and is describing it as Noira, as awesome. That is already Chachma, that is taka bottle, but a source of creation. Keser is beyond completely, it's dark, before the cause of all causes, but Tachlis HaBittul, and its translation in Aveda is Yiras Boishes, it's the Talmud that's very close, and dares not open his mouth. Yesh Loima, the Alter Rebbe didn't finish the Maimah, the Rebbe does. Shal Neged Gimel Yonim Eilehim and Gimel Dargas the Chasidim Vanshi Maaseh Balishuv. These are the three levels of Simchas Beis HaShe'eva. The Chasidim, the men of good deeds and Bali Tshuva, Shenimdu B'Hashiras V'Shishbachos, which are enumerated in the songs and praises that the Mishnah says, Shayu Eimdim L'Fnei Kol Yisrael, that was said before all Yidden, and he explained before that means they affected, inspired this and others, B'Simchas Beis HaShe'eva. So what's in a little bit further? More like that the Fidei Rebbe explains in his Maamar of 20 years earlier, Tavshin Daled, which he quoted, Chasidim Anshi Maaseh Heim Beis Madregas Ba'Avoda. These are two levels in Avoda. Namely, Chasidim Madregas Avidos Ramshachas Ha'or. That's Torah. So Chasidim are drawing godliness down. Vaanshei Maaseh, that's already Melamata Lamaila. That's like the Kohen Gadol ascending. That's Korbanos, Avoda, Kohen Gadol, the Tachlis. Madregas Avidos Matziyas HaKelim. They're making the world a Keli. They're transforming, they're engaging the world. The Chassidim are bringing godliness into the world, and Anshei Maaseh are engaging the world. So the men of good deeds, they're out there making the world kelim for godliness, elevating the sparks, engaging the body, and again that's like the Kohen Gadol going deeper and higher in his elevation. Pashat from Karbonis to Ktoiris, the highest form of Ktoiris, it's all a Korban. It's all an elevation of the sparks. That's who? Anshei Maaseh. What Chasidim? Chasidim goes on Torah. They're drawing down godliness from above to below. That's Avedis Tzadikim, basically, Torah, which is high in the world, but they're bringing it down to the world. Mitzad HaNeshama. Not the goof. There are avodas, the neshama, but not the goof. Again, consistent with everything we've been learning. Rashi says, in explaining what's the difference between chassid and even Anshei Maaseh, says Rashi, Kol chassid avi chassid meikare. If you call someone pious, it means he always was, as opposed to Bal Tshuva. So this is bringing Elikus down, Milamayla Lamata. He's always in the world of holy, that's his place, and he's projecting it, bringing it down to the world. So that's our Derech Torah, which is high in the world, it comes down to the world. Again, Kol Chassid Avi Chassid Mikari Chassid means someone who's from his source, from the very beginning, he's pious, never deviated from the path. Now he's explaining the diak of Rashi. Mikara means literally from the beginning, from the get-go, he's a pious fellow. Mikara means the shoyrish. He's a chasid, someone that's being mamshich koy amshach hasaim b'lamayla lamata. He's drawing godlies down from the ikar, from the source, and bringing it down.
The number 2, that's the Rashi, goes back to the Baraisa that says Ashri lo Tseinu.
Huh?
It goes back to the Baraisa.
Yeah, explain what the chasid is. Yeah.
So the
Why?
It says Ashri lo Tseinu, that it didn't embarrass us. It's
Right.
been
So
the
why is
same
it?
from then till now.
Why is it called the chasid? Because he's someone that can say that.
Right, as opposed to the others.
Yeah. And Maaseh is coming in between. I don't know exactly what, but the chassid definitely, remains pure, innocent throughout. So now, as we're saying, Yesh loim ba shemadreg es adachsidim. Okay, thank God, Ron. We got it. By the grace of God. Madreg es achsidim keneged amshachim l'mayla lamata. So the level of chsidim, that's amshachim l'mayla lamata. And that is like the Torah shenikras yikor. So that is Torah, which is precious and even more precious. That's covered av chokhmah, as it's granted milamayla. So that's the of the chassid. V'madreg anshi Maaseh, and who are the men of good deeds? Connected avodas halam lamata lamayla. That's the avodah from below to above, as expressed at the darkest kohen gadol. To the extent that to even the Kohen Gadol, which in that there's 2 levels, without repeating that again, shenichlas lefnai lifnim. Now that Rabbi's beautiful detail, v'yesh lahoisef u'levayir adiog. Now we're going to add and explain the nuance here. Shechsidim vaanshei Maaseh meraktim ba'avukah shel oir. So what did the Mishnah say? That they would dance and juggle torches of fire. Shoyu zoikin oisam, they threw them. The diak is zoikin daike, throwing. Shezrikin meir al teike for inyim. Throwing something is force, it's power. The higher is to indicate Shebeiz Eifani Avodah the Chasidim Anshei Maaseh, both their avodas, Hein Amshachim L'mayla Lamata, which is the Chasid, Hein Alom Lamata L'mayla, elevation from below, which is the Anshei Maaseh, Himachol HaToikev. It's intense. What does that mean? Hainish Amshachim L'mayla Lamata, it means drawing down godliness is to what degree? All the way, Ad Lamata B'Yoseh. So he's not Torah in his own little ivory tower, but he's bringing Torah down, all the way down, sharing it with every Yid. Like, he said, I think he's hinting to that the second luchas, he's talking about the second luchas. No, it didn't. The second luchas came without the whole Teresh Baal Peh and all the Pnimis HaTorah was revealed, but it doesn't mean dak for the second luchas. It just means that Torah is Pnimis HaChochma, and how was it given? It was given engraved in stone, so it came all the way down the mat. He's speaking Mecholos about Torah, not about luchas necessarily. Adar, but that's the end of Tshuva. So the throwing is both ways. So the Anshei Maaseh, when they elevate to the highest levels at the Kohen Gadol that penetrates into the Kedush HaKadoshim. Ad HaKohen Gadol sho'elim medarg ledargat shenichas lefnai lifnim. He ascends all the way to within. But then there's the third level. L'mayli mishneim madreges habali tshuva shavidosim b'teichiras boishes. So he's avodah poshet, he's ashamed. Fish mevayid murazoken, like that Rebbe explains in one of his Maimorim, that Tshuva, Toshuv, or Oisius, Boishes is the same letters as the word embarrassment, the shame. And that is Keser Ukamhu. Shehi Keneged Pchinas Keser, he wants to disappear. He is, that corresponds to the Keser Sheukamhu, Kodem Ilisa Ilois, he is dark before the cause of all causes, but Tachlis HaBittul, the Yiris Boishes, the absolute Bittul, higher even than Torah. Tshuva is even higher than Torah. So in general, it's mitzvahs, Torah, and Tshuva. And Tshuva is the highest madrega, and that's it. We're going to explain, is Dafka expressed by the Braisa, not the Mishnah, yet to be explained.